Let's predict our fantasy football sleepers and breakouts for NFL Week 3. Starting us off, fantasy sleeper, Teddy Bridgewater of the Denver Broncos. A fantasy sleeper quarterback that no one is talking much about is Bridgewater. If he's available and your current quarterback can't get his act together, Bridgewater makes an excellent Week 3 waiver wire target. Up next, fantasy breakout A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Brown had a quiet Week 2 while Julio Jones stole the spotlight. Look for this to change when Brown could break out big in Week 3 at home against the Colts. Up next, fantasy sleeper J.D. Mckissick of the Washington football team. Expect Washington to have to pass to keep up with a strong Buffalo offense. This means plenty of targets for Mckissick, who last racked up the second most receiving yards among his teammates in Week 2. Up next, fantasy breakout Rondale Moore of the Arizona Cardinals. Was Moore sitting on your bench in Week 2? If so, get him in your Week 3 lineup and start him against the Jaguars. Up next, fantasy sleeper Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. Hill is a handy stash if Jameis Winston continues to flounder. Winston was great in Week 1, but a total disaster in Week 2. This could lead to the Saints giving Hill more opportunities under center. Up next, fantasy breakout Naji Harris of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Harris is progressing as a fantasy running back, who could break out in Week 3 against the Bengals, with the Bengals giving up 190 rushing yards over the last 2 games. Up next, fantasy sleeper, KJ Osborne of the Minnesota Vikings. It is time to stop sleeping on Osborne, who has quietly built up 12 receptions for 167 yards and 1 touchdown over his first 2 games. Up next, fantasy breakout Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders. Carr should not be a backup quarterback in any fantasy format. Carr should go off the charts facing the Dolphins in Vegas in Week 3. Up next, fantasy sleeper Justin Jackson of the Los Angeles Chargers. Jackson looks to be the running back behind Austin Eckler, in line to see some touches against the Chiefs in Week 3. And finally, fantasy breakout Kenny Golladay of the New York Giants. Look for Golladay to top his 3 catches and 38 yards from Week 2. Golladay has the potential for a fantasy breakout game at home against the Falcons.